Well, hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to another rockin' awesome Saturday night. Wow, we had a great program that you just heard, Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. There, Maria, wonderful program. And we want to thank all the people that came into that program. But now we're doing JW World News. Of course, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we love to talk about it here on the six screens, don't we? And we do it every Saturday night, and we do it every other Sunday as well. And we'd love to have you call in tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the telephone number. I'm going to put the number up on our YouTube. So if you'd like to call into the program anytime later on tonight, the number will be up there. And by all means, do it. We love to have new ones calling in. It makes all the difference in the world when you do that. So there's a telephone number. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you can see it. But anyways, my name is Rick Farron, and I am coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston. I know you guys are saying, well, Rick, how do you know it's the apostate capital of the world? Well, I have to tell you, friends, New England has always been a tough nut for the witnesses to crack. And even when I was in Florida, I remember a circuit overseer coming around and saying, boy, the kids or the young witnesses up in New England, he says, they're leaving in droves. And of course, it's caught up on the Watchtower. Many people are leaving the Watchtower up here. They really are. Here in Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, in New York, even though that's not a New England state, but people are getting up and packing their bags. And we're so glad that, well, I'm glad to be in good company. And don't you worry. If you don't have any apostates where you live, they'll be coming. They'll be coming. The Watchtower Friends right now is tanking. As we always say, the monkey died, the circus is over. Well, where can they go? There's people leaving and like crazy lately. So you'll be getting plenty of apostates soon. You just watch and see. Well, what I do every week is I look all over the internet for news revolving around the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower organization. And I want to thank all of those people that send me news articles. It's like United Press International here. Many, many people send me news articles. And if you come across articles that you like to have me read on JW World News, you'd like to hear more about it, I'll get a little more in depth into some of these articles. So why don't you write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com and send me anything that you come across. I don't care how crazy it is. And even if you say, well, Rick won't read it, but I look at everything all day long, all night long. My phone is clicking. I'm getting emails from people writing in, and thank you for doing that. And don't give up now. Keep sending us those articles so we can have them for JW World News. I thank you all very much. So you've been watching, like I've been watching. Hey, don't we all have somewhat an obsession? Don't we have somewhat of an overbearing way about us when it comes to finding out what's going on in the Watchtower? What's the obsession? What's the attraction? Well, I don't really know. Not all ex-witnesses are activists. Many people leave the Watchtower organization and just walk away and forget about it. But some of us, we become activists. And for some reason, we just can't get it out of our head. Now, that's not to mean that we're gone crazy over the whole thing. But I think about it from time to time. Well, why is it that some of us really is so outspoken? Well, the answer to that is simply, there's a lot of people that have been hurt by this organization. I mean, really hurt. Not just, their feathers ruffled a little bit. We have people that have been psychologically damaged by this organization, physically damaged because of this organization, emotionally, spiritually damaged. Why can't we talk about it? I want to talk about it. I want to warn people, just like you people listening into the program tonight. And when you speak up, you're an activist too. You're trying to help people. And everyone out there, they have all their different ways of activism. Some of the people have stickers. Some of the people have apostate cookies. Other people do other things, T-shirts, and walk around a convention. Whatever it is to expose the Watchtower, I say keep doing it. And I send kudos out to everyone that's putting the Watchtower in the limelight. Continue doing it. Now, recently, there's been so many news articles concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Watchtower. It's getting to the point that it's getting very, very interesting. I mean, I'm glued to the internet to see what country is going to be next to come down and chastise the Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, we know Norway. Hey, we've been talking about them in the news for the last few months. Oh, Norway's all upset with the witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses are being, well, let me put it this way to you. They're going to lose close to $2 million a year just in Norway alone because of the charitable status. See, the country of Norway gives Jehovah's Witnesses money for every they give the Watchtower money, I should say, for every Jehovah's Witness that they have in Norway. But Norway just cut that out. And why did they cut it out? Because Norway does not like the shunning that goes on in the Watchtower, especially young children, young people that are being shunned and displaced, homeless. Now, Norway doesn't like that, and I'm sure you don't like it either. But the Watchtowers have been getting away with it, and now also Sweden is beginning to really investigate the witnesses. Belgium is investigating the witnesses. The United Kingdom is investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses. Canada is investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses. Pennsylvania. Oh, Pennsylvania, good old Pennsylvania. My goodness, they got a big time investigation going on right now in Pennsylvania. Over 500 congregations are being investigated for covering up child abuse. Now, maybe all of those congregations haven't covered it up, but the state of Pennsylvania wants to know what congregations have been doing it. And how about on TV? And how about all the books that are being written about Jehovah's Witnesses, magazine articles, newspaper articles? I mean, there is a proliferation of information, negative, critical news about the Watchtower every day, every single day. You know, one time the Jehovah's Witnesses would have positive things come across the internet. You know, just roll the clocks back 8-10 years ago. The cities that had big conventions were so happy to report the Jehovah's Witnesses are coming back because it meant money for their city. But you're not even seeing anything like that anymore. They're not even, giving any good positive news about the witnesses. What it is, folks, is the world is disconnecting from this cult. They're seeing it up front and close. They are seeing how evil it is. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring that up to you tonight. And we've all seen in the last 5 years, all the television documentaries on cable TV that have been exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I just want you to stop. I want you to stop and think for a second. Just stop and think. You have relatives that are Jehovah's Witnesses. You have many friends that are Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you think for a second that they're not seeing this? Do you really think that? Well, I have to tell you something. They are seeing it. And they're not going to tell you they are, but of course they're seeing it. And I have to say that, if you were a witness, and I've been bringing this up the last couple of months here on the Six Screens concerning Pennsylvania, can you imagine if you're a witness in Pennsylvania? Would you want to continue to go door to door? Would you want to do it with all of the coverage, the news coverage and magazines, on television news every night? Would you want to continue to go door to door and people are thinking that you're some type of a child molester, knowing that the organization that you hang your hat on is a creepy organization hiding pedophiles? Man, but I got reports coming in. I got a report coming in here today to the Six Screens from a sister. Well, she's out now. She's an ex-witness from Pennsylvania. But she says her mother still is one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And, she's still going door to door. And she thinks it's wonderful they can continue to do it. But she doesn't believe what, people are hearing on the news. And isn't that pretty much the routine of the Jehovah's Witnesses? They see it. Oh, don't believe it. That's from Satan the devil. Apostates made this all up. But at some point, now come on, we're all human. At some point, because of this, so much of this going on, don't you think that's going to snap the witnesses out of their cocoon? Don't you think that could happen? I think it could. So that's my feelings on it. So I'm glad the world is now coming down on these bums. Now we have allies. We didn't have allies before. We were kind of going along. The only ones really exposing the evils in the Watchtower were former Jehovah's Witnesses. But now we have governments. Yes, governments that are coming down on the Watchtower as well. I think it's fantastic. I'm very happy lately. Are you happy? Are you happy to hear this? You have friends in there, do you? There's people listening to this program tonight. They're curled up in the corner somewhere. They're alone. No one's talking to them. Their own children, their grandchildren. No one's talking to them. I mean, that is a sad state of affairs. There's plenty of people listening to this program tonight that are feeling that way. I know they are because they write me and tell me. They just don't have the courage yet to speak up. But pretty soon they will be. Pretty soon they will be. Well, let me see what's going on here. There's a lot going on. I mean, I say that every week, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but oh my goodness. I've been doing this program for 17 years. 17 years. Starting in January 26, 2023. It was 17 years of doing this program. And here we are, once again, talking about what's going on the Watchtower. It always wasn't this way. 17 years ago, I didn't have too much to say about the Watchtower. I was angry with them. I was upset with them, but I didn't have any footing. I didn't have any real meat. I didn't have any real good, juicy stories, news stories that could get people to connect and see how bad this organization is. So now what we got, I've been reviewing some of the different things that have been going on. Now we know the convention started this weekend. The conventions, Be Patient conventions, 2023 convention started this weekend. And I have to tell you, there's a video. I'm going to play a clip of this video. You have to see this video. This is absolutely remarkable. This video is sick. It's really a sick video. I'm just going to get all the information I have to get to share this with you. So let me just see if I can't get that up here on our program tonight. Let me just get in here and see if we can't share this video with you. So when you see this video, the Watchtower is really ramping up this idea of an enemy. There's always an enemy that's coming after the Jehovah's Witnesses all the time, whether it's the stormtroopers or whether it's the government. They're always suggesting there's an enemy out there ready to get us. Well, at the convention, this takes place in Africa. And what I find of interest here is the fact that I just want to make sure I can get this up here for us. So just give me a second. I'm just working on getting this up. So there's a convention that's now playing at the conventions. And it's all about some African Jehovah's Witnesses fleeing their country. The headquarters in Africa, the branch office told them to flee. So, yes, so you do have a convention video here that I'm going to play right now. Now, I'm only going to play about a minute clip from it because I don't want to take too much time. But I'll tell you, when I saw this video, it really rocked my boat. So let's play the video. I'm going to share it. You'll hear it if you're on Radio Network. You'll see it if you're on Facebook and if you're on YouTube. So let's share it right now. And let me widen the screen, which I'm going to do. And we're going to play it right now. It's showing
It's not always been easy. But we have seen the blessing that comes from listening and obeying. We have to trust those whom Jehovah trusts. even if we may not understand the direction at the time.
Did you catch that? What he's saying here is we have to really trust. We have to really trust in Jehovah, even if we don't understand the directions at the time. If you're listening on our radio network, it's showing brothers and sisters in Africa, and they are fleeing. The militant government was coming down on the people. So Watchtower, at least here in the video, it's not true, but it's a fictitious video. So what they were doing is the brothers and sisters were told by the organization to flee. And some of the brothers and sisters didn't want to. They said, no, we're not going to pay attention to that. We don't want to flee. Jehovah will help us anyways. But the organization was saying, flee. And even though it seemed like they shouldn't, they didn't see any real action taking place that they would have to leave, but they did. And then they're saying here that they're glad they did, and it shows them all on this camp. But I'm going to continue with the video because I really want you to notice something in this video. I'm going to continue with it right now, so let's continue. All right. Okay, I'm going to roll it back just a little bit so you can see it. Right there. Let's stop it right there. Look what you see there in the video. Here we have brothers and sisters that have been displaced. I mean, I can't believe that they're dressed so good. Here they were in a city where the government was coming down. So these are refugees, but they're all dressed in nice clothing. The brothers are wearing ties and clean shirts. Is that really a depiction of refugees, people fleeing from the city because of military confrontation? But notice this, while they're in their little refugee camp, here these poor brothers are in Africa. Notice what's posted there on the tree, and then it shows a woman putting some money into a contribution box. Can you believe it? There it is right. That's a contribution box in a refugee camp. I mean, how bad can things get? So I found that just too much to take. What a greedy organization. I'm going to stop it right there, and we'll go back. But can you imagine that? How bad can this organization be when they actually even have refugees giving their last few pennies to the Watchtower? Come on. I mean, this really wakes me up. The organization is so greedy, so greedy. These brothers and sisters have got nothing, but they're still asked to donate. Can you imagine a contribution box put on the tree? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And here the governing body is, they're eating steak, they're drinking scotch, they're relaxing out by a beautiful lake in New York. At the same time, they got a contribution box up in a refugee camp. That makes a lot of sense, right? This is so tasteless to me. I mean, I really go ballistic when I read stuff like this, because this organization's worth at least $1 billion, maybe some people say $2.5 billion, and they're still scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to get every penny they can from the witnesses. This is tasteless. How about give your poor war-torn refugees and your brothers and sisters some real help? How about in the form of food and clothes and shelter? Not to have them stay in a refugee camp. So here they are fleeing a city that's being taken over by government militants. And now they're in a refugee camp, and they're being told to obey Jehovah at all costs. And there's a contribution box on the tree. I don't know how the witnesses are going to take this, but I don't think they're going to take it sitting down. How can you? Now, they're asking for millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for this Ramapo project. They keep squeezing the witnesses for cash. Now, I'm sure they're now saying, now make sure when you are told to leave and take your go bag, make sure you have cash money in that bag. So wherever you go, you'll be able to put it into the contribution box. I mean, maybe, folks, maybe when I stop and think about it, maybe these child abuse lawsuits are really taking a big hit on the Watchtower budget. That's a possibility, right? So that's what I'm thinking. Well, why else? Why else is the Watchtower constantly asking for donations? I think it's pretty doggone sickening. I really, really do. If anyone would like to speak up, you're on JW World News. Hit *6. Speak up, and what do you think? You think that's pretty low of the Watchtower to put a contribution box in a refugee camp? Well, I think it is. I think it's very, very greedy. Chewy, go ahead.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. You would think that after a while we wouldn't be shocked anymore. As long as we've been out, you 20 years, me 10 years, you'd think we wouldn't be shocked. You think we'd seen it all. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And the reason why it keeps getting worse and worse and worse is because they keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And look at the condition of the contribution box. I saw it. It's a cardboard box. Oh God. How much farther, guys? They can't even put up a decent contribution box. It is a cardboard box. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Chewy. All right, so anyways, who else would like to speak up right now? What do you think? I think it's a little crazy that they're actually doing this. This is too much. So anyways, you're on JW World News, the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. Hey, Dick, I've got someone is out at the doorway there. Could you come in, one of you, Dick, or maybe Connie, if you're listening in? Could you come in? Okay, go ahead, Dick. Just come in for a little bit. I just got to take off for a couple of minutes here and check something out.
All right. If anybody has any thoughts, *6, on the subject matter of how
Mr. Bordy.
Hi, Ken. Go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I enjoy always talking, that, but I'll tell you what. This information we're getting on the Watchtower Society, I'm telling you, to say the least, it's bizarre and macabre. Makes you wonder, like I said earlier, it makes you wonder whether you're living in the real world or are you living in the Tales of the Dark Side or in the Twilight Zone, and all that. The Watchtower Society, I mean, they can't be more unrealistic than they are right now, and what they do is defies fact and logic. To have a contribution box in a refugee camp or whatever it is and so forth. And it's like that was brought out earlier, how greedy can they get? And how much more, how long is it, how much time, how much more are they going to bilk the taxpayers and the people out of millions and billions of dollars like they have already and so forth? And I just wish the people would start waking up and just start saying, no, you're not going to get any more. This is it.
Well, I hope they wake up real soon, Ken. I really do. When you see things like Jeffrey Jackson driving a Bentley car, and he has another car called a Demon, and they're all driving real expensive cars. They're going out and buying $100 bottles of scotch, and they're taking pennies from infants almost. They have no conscience. They lie to people. They deceive people. And, that's who they are. They're a professional con man, and they are under the influence of Satan the devil, who loves to see people suffer. If you look at all of Christianity, the popes and all these people that are on TV, the Michael Murdochs and the well, I don't want to name them all, but they're all living in palaces. They're driving very, very expensive cars. Look at the palace the Pope lives in, and yet there's Catholics all over the world starving. Just saw a thing on TV the other day of Joyce Myers, I believe her name is. She's got an absolutely a mansion that she lives in, and all her children all surround her. They all live in mansions. You know, Christ never lived like that. He never had a home. He had never had a roof over his head. I mean, some people invite him in for dinner. He might stay overnight with them and did some preaching, but he never had anything. I mean, one garment. That was it. And yet these religious leaders feel very much justified in driving these big, expensive cars. And they do it by tickling people's ears and letting them believe that if they donate to their ministry or they donate to their church, that God will bless them on this earth with all kind of riches. And they keep on donating and donating and donating, and nothing comes back to them. Those people that donate with a good heart to a good cause will be blessed. But these people that are donating just so that God will bless them with monetary things, they're barking up the wrong tree. Star
Well,
six is yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Kurt. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Kurt. Yourself?
Yeah, I love those comments you made. I listened to every word of that. I agree. And one thought come to my mind. It's been discussed on Six Screens is the investing in the stock market. You know, I don't understand. Well, I know it's about money, obviously, but I don't understand how they can, you know, like, for example, invest in the stock market and be no part of the world. You know, right from the top down, be no part of the world. It's a mystery to me. But like we've discussed and everything, they're a corporation, looking like they're a real estate corporation, probably more than anything else. But yeah, we've discussed before on the Six Screens. We all know that about the investment in Wall Street, and that's always puzzled me. But anyway, thanks for taking my call, and thank you for that. And go ahead. Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling in. And, you know, along with what our caller just said, Kurt just said, if you went up to the Watchtower or your presiding overseer at your congregation, said, gee, I got a really bad gambling problem. I'm betting the horses, I'm betting the dogs. I play all the scratch cards, and I go to a poker game with my friends. They'll disfellowship you for gambling. But when you invest in the stock market, just because they use the word invest, you're putting money into that stock hoping that it'll go up. Nobody buys stock hoping that it'll go down. Your expectations are that it'll go up. You put your money into the stock, and it could go up, but it's a gamble. It's a gamble. So they're guilty as all heck. They'll tell you not to be involved in the military. There's a scripture in Luke where Jesus tells Peter to trade his coat for a sword, and yet they'll tell you don't go in the military. If you do, if you're a baptized brother, they will disfellowship you. They would rather see you spend 2 or 3 years in a prison, but don't go in the military. But if you look at the history of the JWs, World War One and prior to World War One, Jehovah's Witnesses went in the military. They epitomize hypocrisy. They really, really do. They do as I say, not as I do.
Hey, Dick, I'm back right now, Dick. So anyways, well, thank you, Dick, for coming in. Go ahead, just finish up your statement there. I don't want to cut in, but go ahead, finish up your statement, Dick. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, we're kind of an organization where the leaders go out and spend thousands of dollars worth of very expensive scotch. Well, where did they get that money from? They got that money from little boys and girls donating 10 cents into the Kingdom Hall, and the Kingdom Hall sends it off to the Watchtower. That's where they're getting them, and they have no shame. They're dishonest, and they're just horrible people. They're controlled by Satan and devil. All right, thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Pixie.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Well, hi, this is Carrie. You know what? You had mentioned something about the Catholic Church and, the higher ups. Yeah, they live in palaces and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you something. Around my area, if you have a problem, money wise, they will. If all you got to do is knock on the rectory door, you got food, you got money for rent, if or an electric bill or whatever. They will hand, and it doesn't matter what religion you are. If you knock on their door, they will hand you the cash, a check, or whatever. So just to give them a little kudos for that.
Yeah, I wasn't really talking about the rank and file priest in the local rectory.
Yeah.
I was referring to the leaders of these organizations, the Catholic Church, the Muslims, I could be here forever listing all the names of them. The ones at the top live very, very high, and it goes against the scripture. It talks about, the showy displays of one's means of life. You ought to see Joyce Myers, the mansion she lives in, or the Crystal Palace down there with, I forget his name now, but they live in mansions. And that's
no, you're right. You're right. I just wanted to just get in that a little bit. I mean, I know that the higher ups and all of these other religions and stuff like that, they're people, they're quite wealthy. Yes. They have their jets, they have their fancy clothes, fancy houses and stuff like that. And, I get it, but I just wanted to make that quick comment. That's all. Thank you.
Hey, Carrie.
Okay, what's the plus?
I had one thing I wanted to note. Let's wind the tape back before the contribution box. And what we have in this fiction has happened before in reality, in very sad stories. We've got elite white guys with money telling other groups of people to go to a camp. So just factor that in.
Well, the wealth does not get distributed amongst the troops, or rank and file, Jehovah's Witness, or any other religion. There's a lot of...
Did you hear what I said? They convinced poor people to go to a camp.
Yes. Yep.
And if you know World War II history, and if you know the Guyana story, these people in the fiction that we just saw, they went to a camp.
So Pixie, I think what Pixie's trying to draw a similarity here, Dick. It shows people going to a camp just like they did in the People's Temple, where they all gathered together and they went there under the direction of Jehovah. Maybe they're telling the witnesses something before they tell them, Pixie.
Yes. It was chilling to me.
Yeah, it didn't settle right with me either.
Just stayed a publishing company, and if you wanted to buy their literature, you could do it through the mail back in the old days. But anyway, thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Dick, for filling in. Thank you, Pixie and Carolyn and all the others who called in as well, Kurt as well. But anyways, we're back here now. From time to time, I have to have people come in for me, so I really appreciate that when they do. I sit here for a long time. Sometimes it knocks at the door, or I got to go take care of some other issues going on here with in the household with Susan, my wife. I have to make sure she's doing fine as well because she hasn't been really healthy as of late. So I've got to do these things. So thank those people for coming in and working with it. But anyways, Jehovah's Witnesses in Pennsylvania. Wow. I mean, if you were Jehovah's Witness in Pennsylvania right now, I don't know how you could be one. You'd be really so embarrassed. I would be, and you would be too. Imagine going door to door in Pennsylvania with the situation regarding child sex abuse. It's big. It's huge. It's all over the news media. It's in newspapers. It's on the television news every night practically. I would really want to know Are there still Jehovah's Witnesses that are happy to be engaged in the door-to-door work in Pennsylvania? Well, the answer to that is they're still doing it. And as I mentioned earlier, I got information from a sister today from Pennsylvania. Well, I say she's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, but she was telling me that her mother is one of Jehovah's Witnesses in Pennsylvania, and she's going door to door, and she's not really coming back and telling any bad news. And I'm sure there's a lot of bad news with the witnesses. I'm sure people are giving them a mouthful after seeing what they're seeing on the news, but the witnesses aren't going to admit it. But I have to tell you something. If you were Jehovah's Witness in Pennsylvania right now, you'd feel like the third monkey on Noah's Ark. I mean, you wouldn't be accepted. You would just be an outcast. So, what's happening here is the Jehovah's Witnesses, they think it's wonderful that amid all this persecution, and even though the state and the media is making up stories about us, we're still Jehovah's Witnesses and we're going to plow forward. So the whole exposure of child sex abuse in the news media, it's astounding to me. It really is. It's just unbelievable how much is being said in Pennsylvania. It's not surprising to me that many witnesses still would engage in field service. I know if I lived in Pennsylvania, I don't know about you, but I would not want to participate. I wouldn't want to be going door to door and people looking out in the neighborhood. Oh, look at that guy. I wonder if he's a pedophile. Oh, I wonder if he's one of those elders that are covering pedophilia up. Really. So I'm just saying that it's unbelievable that Jehovah's Witnesses still have that gung-ho spirit, listen and obey, as Anne Marie was saying earlier. I would be so embarrassed. I would be so embarrassed, even going door to door. And I remember going door to door whenever there was an article on the news or in the newspaper about a person even dying as one of Jehovah's Witnesses for refusing a blood transfusion. I can remember that used to rock my boat a little bit. I didn't like going door to door when I knew that was in the news. I'm thinking, geez, people are going to think we're weird people. We have babies die, people die for refusing blood. So I can imagine that there's a lot of witnesses in Pennsylvania that they're not showing up, but some are, I'm sure. But I just want to bring that up tonight because you can't miss it. And I think it's wonderful. I really, really do, that to have a state that is really coming down heavy on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Isn't that a wonderful thing? I think it is. And I know you do too. So, okay, so we'll move on from there. But the exposure is just too much. It is. And, I want you to just sit back and relax and think about this. You can't have an organization with such a tarnished image continue on in business. Really. I mean, if there was a car company, let's just go with a car company. Let's just say Tesla. I'm not picking on Tesla. I'm not saying anything's wrong with Teslas. But let's just say that the Tesla Motor Company, suppose they just kept having these battery fires one after another, every day on the news. That's all you hear is battery fires, cars are starting on fire, Tesla's having a problem. Would you go out and buy a Tesla? And what would you do if you had a Tesla? You say, geez, maybe I think I'll trade it in. You certainly wouldn't park it in your garage. So that's the thought that I have here tonight is, enough is enough. People who are Jehovah's Witnesses, they're seeing this. And at first they might not pay attention to it. Just like maybe you hear one fire in a Tesla, then you hear another fire. Look, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying don't buy a Tesla. I'm not saying that. I'm just using this as an example. So the witnesses have got to be seeing this. I just can't buy that they're just oblivious to it all. And that's your relatives. You should be doing the happy dance tonight. You should be getting up and dancing around your living room. You really should be.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think, King of Dots?
Well, I'm doing a happy dance because you told me to.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no choice. Anyway, the Tesla thing, there's a huge class action lawsuit going on because they periodically do an electronic update on the automobiles, and some of those electronic updates destroyed all the batteries. $15,000 a pop. That is an unsustainable business model, especially if you're buying a used car. So these people are suing because it costs them $15,000 to replace the electric battery after Tesla did some sort of electronic update like they do on our iPhones all the time, which seems to be more and more every single week. So this is all bogosity to the highest extent. And Rick, please, I know a couple witnesses who bought electric cars, ex-witnesses, let's say this. I tried to call them up. What happened with the battery? Probably drove them into damn bankruptcy. Oh, I'm sounding like the other guy. I'm sorry. But I'm just telling you, do not go there. Thank you.
Oh, well, no, good comment. I mean, I'm glad you picked up on the Tesla, but I was
I'm kind of a business addict. I'm not a business expert, but I keep up on this crap. Electric wind power is destroying whole bird populations all over the world where they do it. It's a debacle. I don't know what the end game is. Probably decrease the population. That's what most people say. Witnesses are saying that, for God's sake. And yeah, they're trying to get rid of us, man.
Well, certainly it's an issue that a lot of people are coming to grips with. Things aren't working out the best, but I didn't want to, turn it into a program about Tesla. But I thank you for bringing that up. I would
inform people out there who think that electric car technology is going to help them out. It really is more expensive. Rick, can you do me a favor?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Ask me a question.
All right, I'll ask a question. All right. So, anyways, King of Dots, I'll refer to you as King of Dots. What would you now? We have active Jehovah's Witnesses listening into the program tonight, King of Dots. So
can you get to the point.
Oh yeah, what would you say to them? What would you say to them?
Say to who?
To what would you say to Jehovah's Witnesses that are listening in here tonight? Because we do have some. What would you say to them?
I say to them, you're a damn apostate. You shouldn't be listening to us. So go and turn yourself into the elders and get disfellowship or reproof, because you're just as bad as us. You're not supposed to be listening to us. I've told them that several times on many tubes, Rick, and that's a fact.
Yeah. Well,
they are apostates, and they better go and repent and turn themselves into the elders, and then see what happens to you. You stupid asses.
Well, they're not going to do it. That's okay. We know that. We know. I know it, and I know it gets you excited. But
you know I'm right. You know I'm right. Turn yourself in.
Rick.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, it's Steve.
Steve, go ahead.
It's Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
You know what? To whoever's talking, nobody lives in that world. I don't live in that world anymore. They're governing me. Their rules, their regulations don't apply to me as any more than a country on the other side of the world or a country on the side of the universe. You want to live in their world and abide by their rules? Go ahead. But it does not apply to me. If you feel you need to resign or do whatever, that's your business. But for the people that just walked away and want to listen to whatever they want to listen to or say whatever they want to say, it's their business. You think you live in their world? Then go obey their rules. I don't live in their world.
Would you ever want to go back to their world, Steve?
No. Why would anybody go in and say, I'm going to write my letter of resignation. I'm going to meet with the elders and tell them, no, you walk away from that organization. Those are their rules. You talk to the elders. They give you a label, disassociated, disfellowship, whatever. Those are rules from their world and what they laid down. I don't live in that world anymore. I don't abide by their rules because they mean nothing to me. So whatever they think they want to label me in their house, they can do whatever they want to do. It does not matter to me.
Well, I like your attitude, Steve. I mean, that's the attitude you want to have. I mean, there's no the elders have absolutely no control over you once you left the Watchtower. It's zero. But you have a good attitude. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
If you're gonna live in a cult and you want to abide by their rules and wear their labels, that's up to somebody else. But once you leave that world, that's all pretend and all fake. Nothing matters anymore. You live in the real world. They want to put a label on you, they can do that in their time, in their territory, and in their world, not mine. I don't know.
Well said.
Any of that.
Well said. I agree
Right.
with I agree with you 100%.
Hey, Rick?
Yes, go ahead. You're on with us, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like that analogy you're using, Rick, about a bad investment. I mean, you'd have to be a dumbass. I mean, a Ponzi scheme is all over the news in your state, right? Pennsylvania, big pedophile ring or whatever. Call it a Ponzi scheme. Everybody got screwed. And you got some dummy out there still running around promoting it. I mean, you know what I mean? You sit back and you think, what's wrong with these people? I mean, that's in your face. I mean, a Ponzi scheme. Everybody got screwed. People's kids got screwed. People got, hunted, by these men. It's all over the news. And somebody thinks that's proud to say, I went door to door today to tell everyone how wonderful Jehovah's organization is. I mean, I know it's their right, but it's just damn foolish. I hate to say that strong a language, but it would be like a fool. I mean, I'm looking at my uncles and them over my brother's funeral, and they're bragging about this organization that's lied to them for how many generations. They just look like idiots. I'm sorry. I looked at them. The respect wasn't there. It's like, you people, take back your life. Reclaim who you are. You're not the program. You're something much, much greater. You were never meant to be in a program. And so these people that think they got bragging rights running around for Watchtower, this late in the game, this much exposure, the price of paradise is going up, Rick. And it's always been that way in religion. You got to pay for paradise. You got to pay for heaven. It's going up. So the price in the Watchtower, it's going up. If you're a person that needs the crutch of religiosity, if you need that, if you need to be propped up by that, then you're going to pay. And the price is going up. So hopefully these people can reclaim themselves. It's not so tough out there. You get to free think. You get to broaden out your mind. You get to live your dreams. You get to go in a direction. You get to expand your horizons. You get to meet a variety of different people. Life can be good and very good outside of authoritarian, rules and regulation by narcissistic psychopaths. And their life's waiting for them. So, when I hear somebody's running around still bragging about Watchtower this late in the game, 100 years false prophesying, no apologies, no nothing. Rick, here's what it boils down to. Borgie was touching on it earlier. It's a Ponzi scheme, and those who are still playing the game are gamblers. Those witnesses that are still in, I'm sorry, I would have to say they got a gambling addiction because they've invested, everything. And what's the Ponzi scheme say? You're going to get paid tomorrow. You know what the title of the the WWCG, the world, what is it called, Angela? Worldwide Church of God slogan is? The world tomorrow. That's the witnesses slogan. Pay for the world tomorrow. Come in the world tomorrow. Nothing about your life and having life more fully and finding your gifts and finding your purpose and, and living and seeing good for your hard work. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're cheating themselves. They're eating crumbs from these men. And so it's just a shame. It's a shame to watch. It's like, we're all praying that they wake up. Their life is still waiting. As bad as the world is, their life is still waiting. They've got gifts. They've got God-given gifts and talents that are waiting to be used. And I don't mean carrying around a microphone or pioneering. I mean gifts are waiting. Their life is waiting. And so I just pray they have the courage to step outside the belief systems When I stepped outside the belief systems that I was in after Watchtower, I realized they were just belief systems. And I go, oh my God, there's a whole nother reality outside these beliefs I hold near and dear. Oh my God. In fact, there's a million other realities, and I get to pick one. That's it, Rick.
Well, good comment, Dan. But you mentioned something in the context of your comment. You mentioned that the cost. Hold on one second, sir. Just I'm talking to Dan right now. But Dan, the question you brought up in your comment that Jehovah's Witnesses is a cost. They've invested. They put a lot of money. There's a cost. Well, what do you? I mean, really, do the Jehovah's Witnesses realize how much this organization has cost them? Dan, I'm sure you can connect with that. I can connect with it. We're not talking. We're not talking chump change. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars.
I quit my job. Every time I had to work Saturday, the brothers are like, you should be out in service. I quit wonderful, amazing jobs. And I heard other people took early retirements, and everybody's lost thousands. They've lost education. Not that we're being victims and we can't get it back. But you're right, Rick. They've lost, and they don't realize how much they've lost. But they can get out of it. They can get back. The Bible says, "I'll give you back what the locusts have eaten." If we can pull out of it and get out, we can be totally restructured and back on track, and we can get back some of that what we lost. We don't have to be totally wiped out, Rick. But you're right. We've lost a lot, and not only that, we've lost families. I mean, my family that I saw the other day on there, Rick, I hadn't seen them in years. I saw them when they were babies, and now they got gray hair, and they're grinning like this is normal. And I'm like, this is not normal. It's not normal to live without your family and your cousins and your uncles because you left their idea of reality. It's just mind-blowing, Rick. We've lost more than we ever could have dreamed, and they don't even realize. So I guess that's all they have. They just run around and hope the end comes tomorrow. I hope tomorrow, the world's better tomorrow. We get into paradise tomorrow. Nothing today. And isn't that a slander on God that he made us just to wait for a new world? I mean, there's no value here, no nothing. All this stuff God put here is to be wiped out and destroyed. There's nothing good here. Everything's satanic. Everything's bad. There's no love. There's no nothing. It all has to be genocided by Jehovah. And what a waste. What a waste. I said to Jehovah one day, my God, Jehovah, really? You created all this just to destroy it all and burn it up with fire, anybody but it's not Jehovah's Witnesses? It's insane, Rick. And we've been in boxes. We've been in limited mindsets. We've had friends we couldn't be friends with because of this religion. There's been loss upon loss upon loss upon loss. Not anymore.
Well, many are waking up, Dan. That's absolutely for sure. So thank you for your comments. Now, I want to let people know, too, that you'll be coming on at 9:30 tonight with your wife, Angela, and you'll be coming on with Jimmy Bell and Gilbert Gonzalez. You have a program tonight at 9:30, The New System. It's here. Listen in tonight, The New System, 9:30 tonight. Yeah.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate all the comments that are taking place. It helps me to formulate mine as well and solidify them. We've come to realize that we're not activists. We're advocates. We're not trying to get anyone out. We're working hard for the ones who are trying to get out presently, because they're there and they don't know how to extract themselves, or they just need support. Not the ones who are fooled. They're there. Let them stay. And also the other crowd that we're advocating for are the ones that have to listen to those fools. The householders who really don't know about Jehovah's Witnesses, and we don't want them fooled. So we're basically trying to warn them. We're sending out postcards to that effect, very brief messages. It's those two groups. The ones that are in, who are quote unquote asleep, let them sleep. They like to sleep. The ones that are awake, that need help, and it's the ones that are looking on and listening they need to at least be informed and to make sure they're informed so that they don't make a big mistake. So this is helping us. We don't like to complain personally about how stupid the Watchtower is. It doesn't need any more explanation. They're gonna make sure they explain how stupid they are just by their activities. We just want to help those that need the help. Thanks.
Joe?
Hello?
Hello.
Joe?
Yes.
Hi, this is Carrie. Listen, I really enjoyed the way you what you just said. And there's a lot of people with a lot of passion and anger and frustration out there. I get it. But you know what? That's because they still have power over everybody. I will not let them have power over me, my emotions or anything like that. I went through hell in there and fine. So that's over and I'm glad I'm out. No letter, no nothing. They have no power over me. No meeting, no nothing. But I like what you said. Let them sleep. If they wake, they wake. And if they don't, well, they're in God's hands, I believe. God reads hearts anyways. So I appreciate what you just said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gary, for giving Joe a good comment. He's a good man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, anyways, you're on 6 Screens of the Watchtower, JW World News. We do it every Saturday night and every other Sunday. We'll be doing it again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what else is going on behind the curtains. Did you see this week? This really got me excited big time. Really, I got up and I was just, sometimes, do you ever get an adrenaline rush? Do you ever, for some odd reason, all of a sudden your body feels so good? It's like, whoa, what happened? It's like you're energized. You feel like getting up and dancing in the parking lot. Well, I'll tell you, there's an article I came across this week in the Watchtower, not in the Watchtower, but about the Watchtower in the news concerning Denmark is praising Norway. Oh my goodness, this really got me very excited. The Norwegian government's action to cut off the transfer of public money and deregister Jehovah's Witnesses was widely praised in Denmark. Oh, this could be the start of something big. This really could be big. Denmark is realizing that Norway has every right in the world to be ticked off at the Jehovah's Witnesses. So there was an article in the newspaper that they published in Denmark, and the article in the newspaper saying Norway has set an example for Europe by not accepting that religious groups who violate established laws and the rights of citizens. So that's exactly, Denmark is now understanding that Norway is not going to recognize Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious group. Why? Because they violate the established laws and rights of citizens. You'll agree with me. Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses violate the established rights of citizens. They not only do it here in this country, but they're doing it in countries all around the world. And kudos to Norway for coming in and at least acknowledging that they are a very strange, aberrant group and cutting off their charitable contributions. Watchtower is losing close to $2 million a year. So thank you, Norway, but now I'm thanking Denmark. I can't stop thanking enough countries for coming down on the witnesses. Yep, the Denmark government is now realizing that this organization, Jehovah's Witnesses, Watchtower, is violating the norm of the International Convention on Child Rights. Yeah, children have rights too. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't children have rights? Well, the Norwegian government, as well as now Denmark, is saying, look at you can't go violating children's rights. And Norway was all ticked off. at the Jehovah's Witnesses for shunning children. Imagine that. Shunning young children that weren't even adults yet, cutting them off from their family, cutting them off from friends and relatives, and shunning them. That's cruel punishment. Thank you, Norway. Thank you very much. And I'm glad Denmark notices that as well. So now we are seeing, then I'll look at it. I'm hoping that more European countries will see this. I think it's possible. And I think that as well as Norway feels about the Jehovah's Witnesses, other European countries will feel the same way. They're committing a crime. Norway believes that Jehovah's Witnesses commit a crime when they bring minors for trial in their judicial commissions, in other words, in their judicial hearings. They bring minors in there, people under 18 years of age for the most part, and they apply punishment that leads to what? Ostracism. And what happens when a person's ostracized? They're shunned. So Norway recognizes this. And the Danish newspaper article, in addition to praising Norway, also is beginning to say, that our position should be that we look into the Jehovah's Witnesses as well. Oh, does that make you happy to hear that? It certainly makes me happy. So we got these governments that are looking into the practices of Jehovah's Witnesses. I certainly wish that America would get on the ball here. I really, really do. So, we who have left the Watchtower, and children especially, that have been condemned, disfellowshipped, their rights are they're not being respected. They're being disrespected. So hopefully, if all Europe goes along with what Norway has done and what Denmark is thinking of doing, you might as well wave goodbye to the Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So I have to tell you, this is great because other countries are beginning to recognize what's going on with this terrible organization. Isn't that good news? I mean, that's why I feel so good lately. I've been doing the news here for 17 years. But as of late, I feel so good because I see things are happening. I'm sure you do as well. If you'd like to speak up and say something, all you have to do is hit *6. Come on, say hello to us. Let us know what's going on. How do you feel about all of this? Are you happy that countries are now coming down on Jehovah's Witnesses? I know I'm happy, and I feel very, very pleased that that's happening. Well, let's take a look around. Let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, if you're in the UK, there's a woman named Rebecca Vardy. I mean, it's a pretty big name in the UK. Many people here don't know who Rebecca Vardy is, but she's been all over the news in the United Kingdom. She's a former Jehovah's Witness woman. And this week in the United Kingdom, 18 news media articles in the newspaper, websites, television commercials, they've been really recognizing this woman, Rebecca Vardy, as a former Jehovah's Witness, but she has a program over in England, United Kingdom, really, and it's called Wagatha Christie. Now you say, I've never heard of that program. Well, it's not here in the United States, but in UK, Wagatha Christie is a big program, a really big program, and all kinds of people watch it, and they love the program. And what it is that program is big. Like, I mean, let's name a program here like Shark Tank, maybe, or The Voice, or a program that gets a lot of attention. That Wagatha Christie program, it's kind of a takeoff on Agatha Christie. But the woman, Rebecca, well, she isn't well liked in the United Kingdom. She's a former Jehovah's Witness, but she's not well liked. Her husband was a football player, but not football like we have here. It's like rugby in England, right? And so she got a little bit of an argument with one of the other rugby players' wives, and it really drew a lot of attention because some people say that Rebecca was lying about the other players and what he was doing, and it caused a lot of strife in the United Kingdom. So unfortunately, she's not very respected in the United Kingdom, but nonetheless, she is exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'll go with that. I really, really will. And she explains how the religion fails to support her through sexual abuse and shunned her as a child. So I think it's good that that can be taking place, and it is taking place in the United Kingdom right now. So even though there's a little bit of skepticism around the woman, at least people are finding out. I'll give it a check mark on that.
I'd like to say that Kathy Harrison is a fucking slut and fake Christian.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, we do have.
Yeah, she is another bit.
Yeah, we have people coming in here that want to create issues, so we'll just kick them right off of here. But anyways, yeah, we've got this woman in the United Kingdom. I don't know what that guy was just referring to. It's not the woman I'm referring to. But for someone to keep coming in and doing that, but we've had that before. But anyways, I don't care what Rebecca, what her feelings are, and even if she has negative impact in the United Kingdom, at least she's exposing the witnesses, and I'll go with that because people are hearing how when she was young, she was actually molested and child molestation in the Watchtower, and she's speaking about it. So I think that's a good thing. So, anyways, we won't talk too much more about that, but that was a big thing all over the internet this week. I mean, that's all they've been talking about is Rebecca coming on and speaking about these things. Rebecca Varndy. Okay, so go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead. I think we got King of Dots once again.
Well, Rick, I support your conversation wherever you go.
Yeah.
But today I uncovered something so incredibly coincidental. I don't know if you're familiar with the denomination of Pentecostals, the Assemblies of God. They're 70 million strong. And they pretty much are backing every non-denominational congregation. Of course, that's what Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker are involved in. And the Assemblies of God, I think the 700 Club is involved with them too. But of course you don't know, I know, what year they were founded. 1914. And here one of the biggest arguments the witnesses make is, when did Jesus choose the only religion? What do they say? 1919?
1919, yeah. That's the year they go with, yep.
Yeah. That's right. But coincidentally, the Assemblies of God were formed in 1914. And they're 70 million strong, and the witnesses are like 1/10 of that. I mean, it's something to postulate to them that maybe you weren't the ones chosen. I mean, if you go by the numbers, So I want to throw it out to you because a lot of people only think the witnesses are an end times religion. Assemblies of God are, Seventh-day Adventists, Worldwide Church of God. I mean, there are lots of adherents to end time religions. And the witnesses, I mean, everything they told me when I came in, we're the only ones. We're the only ones who have no clergy. We're the only ones who know the end is near. We're the only ones who believe that Jesus isn't God, which is, well, that's a big deal, man. Yeah. That really, that's what I really need to know, Then what is he, But again, we were all basically sold a bill of goods. What else can I say?
Well, you can't say too much,
they weren't any better than most of the religions of that time.
Well, I agree 100% with you, King of Dots. Absolutely. You didn't say anything that was out of line. Thank you. Thank you for.
No, I hope not to say anything profound. I try not to.
I don't know.
difficult for me, but I give it a good try.
Well, you're not doing bad. You get a couple of gold stars anyway, so that's good. Yeah, you're doing good. All right, so there you go.
When is Gilbert coming on, by the way?
Gilbert's coming on at 9:30 tonight. They got a special program called The New System.
9:30.
So you want to pay attention to that. That's going to be a great program. Gilbert will be on with Dan Clark and Angela and Jimmy Bell. They're coming on at 9:30. It's called the New System. It's here. It's here tonight. So by all means, listen in. Thank you, King of Dots. All right, so let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Yeah, I mean that program in the United Kingdom, that's unbelievable. It's getting a lot of attention over there. And if anything else, I mean Rebecca Vardy, even though she's not that well liked by many in the United Kingdom, it's going to make a difference. And listen, however the word gets out, I don't care. Any bad, cynical news about the Watchtower, I'll take it. I don't care who dishes it out. We'll take it, right? That's what we do here at the Six Screens. All right, so now we got, oh my goodness, did you see? I mean, one of the biggest things floating around the internet this week is the revised Shepherd book. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they got a 2023 new Shepherd book. And, well, I mean, stop and think about this. Here we have a secret book by the Watchtower, and it's all about rules. In many cases, the rules in the policies in this publication are deadly. They're destructive. They're evil. Yeah, that's the Shepherd book. It's a secret book, but my goodness, they're deadly policies, deadly rules. And what really gets me terribly upset is they're willing to come out with a book that would, really lambaste anything that anyone's doing wrong in the Watchtower. I mean, if you light up a cigarette, you're out. But if you abuse a child sexually, they're going to work something out with you. It's going to be between you and them. How sick is that? So that, I mean, it's a fake book. The elders love it. Only the elders can get this book. And it's really disappointing to me. I thumbed through it this week. I looked through some of the things that I saw were changed. And it's really amazing to me that, the government isn't really looking at this cult. I don't know how long it's going to take for the government to really realize that this organization called Jehovah's Witnesses is a very dangerous and a destructive cult. This cult has established a pattern of abuse and reckless disregard for the authority. Yeah, yes, they have. I don't know how long it's going to take our government here in the United States to wake up to this, but stop conflating them with a religious organization. See, our government allows the witnesses to exist because our government thinks they're a religious organization. They do not know the Jehovah's Witnesses like you and I do. They're a dangerous and destructive cult. Cult definitions need to be written into law. This is not a religion. This is a dangerous cult. So I wanted to bring that up tonight. And some of the things that I noticed in the new Shepherd the Flock book, there's no adjustments to report child abuse straight to the authorities. So in the last few years, they keep coming up with new revisions on the Shepherd book. But I looked through it. There's no adjustments to report child abuse, even though all the hot water the Watchtower's in. You think that they would put it right in that Shepherd book. If there's pedophilia going on, child abuse in your congregation, report it immediately to the authorities. You do not see it. You don't. So all they're saying, even in the new book, if you have allegations or at least someone mentions or comes forward that they're an abuser of children, call the Watchtower first. Call the Watchtower first. Don't call the authorities. This really ticks me off. Because, also in the same vein, in the book, the New Shepherd book, it talks about, suppose there was some elder, a ministerial servant, or anyone in the congregation that stole Kingdom Hall funds. Maybe they took the money out of the box and say, gee, I have to pay my car payment this week. I'll just steal the money out of the box. So, anyways, they're being admonished in the elders book to report fraud to the police immediately. If someone stole money from the box, well, there's an elder, whoever, and the money was missing, you have to call the police immediately and tell them that the Kingdom Hall funds were stolen. But yet, when it comes to a pedophile raping little children, oh, no, call Watchtower and they'll direct you. Isn't that something? Why don't you have to call Watchtower first if someone stole money out of the Kingdom Hall contribution box? Oh, no, go make a report, a police report right away. What is the reasoning behind all of this? Really, when I stop and think about it, there's another thing I came across in the Shepherd, the Flock book, the new 2023 edition. And this is something that I want you all to consider out there. I want you to think, what is the reasoning? So suppose a sister, Jehovah's Witness sister, suppose she has an unbelieving mate, and she has feelings the mate is committing immorality. He's going out and having sex with another woman. So what is the reasoning behind this? This is new in the Shepherd's book. So anyways, if this woman submits a letter of proof, now how do you really prove that your mate is having sex if you haven't caught them? But anyways, if someone comes forward, they have an unbelieving mate, and they write a letter to, or at least go to the elders and say that, I'm writing a letter here of proof that my unbelieving spouse is cheating on me. Yeah, so that's all it takes. And what they do is they will take that as evidence that this woman, if she writes, or even it could be a man in this case, if they write a letter of proof saying that their unbelieving mate, now underline the word unbelieving. So if they write a letter of proof saying, and what is, how can you really prove it? But if the person writes it, they're going to take it as proof, evidently, that their unbelieving mate is cheating on them. So you give that letter to the elders, and they can actually get you a qualified divorce, even without proving it. Now, then they're also told to take that letter. If they do recognize the woman or the man can get a divorce by submitting this letter of proof, what they will do is they they will destroy the letter afterwards. They're being told in the elders book to destroy the letter, because they don't want that to be seen, because they're breaking a family up, even though there's no real justification or any real proof. All you have to do is write a letter. But now it's different if you have two Jehovah's Witnesses. If you have a Jehovah's Witness wife and a Jehovah's Witness husband, they will hold a judicial committee hearing, and they will expect proof or a confession. In other words, if the wife is cheating, she has to confess that she is, or the husband has to confess that he is cheating. But this is different when it comes to an unbelieving mate. All they need is a letter of proof. And I mean, is that a letter of proof? Because your Jehovah's Witness wife writes a letter to the elders that you are a cheater, you are an adulterer. So, you see that things are really wacky in this organization. So anyways, I'm glad I'm free from it. And what I think here is, this seems to be two standards. Does someone want to say something? Go ahead. You come on with us right now.
Yeah, whatever happened to the two witness rule?
Yeah, well, I thought about that too, Dick. I thought about that too. But now in the elders book, I was going over it this week, they are saying in chapter 12, that all you have to do is write a letter of proof. Now, how can you call it a letter of proof? Who's proving it? So the sister or the brother just writes a letter and say, my unbelieving mate commits adultery. He's out having sex with other women, or vice versa. So that is proof, and they can actually call for a divorce, and you can be divorced from your husband. I mean, they want to really get unbelievers out of the way anyways. They know they're doing nothing but really slowing down the process. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. So I thought that was very unfair when you think about it. And then another thing I came across in the New Elders book, and I found this really disgusting. I really, really did. They're talking about, they're advising, of course, women who are Jehovah's Witness women who get pregnant to be involved in the pregnancy and find a competent doctor. That they're really reaching out to pregnant Jehovah's Witness women, and they're advised to get the liaison committee involved. I mean, they're going to get involved. They're going to brainwash the members, and they're going to demonize everything, believe me. But I find this very, very discouraging when I see what the Watchtower is doing to people, even pregnant women, encouraging them. I'm going to just get on here. We got a lot of background noise going on. Who's on with us? Does someone want to say something? Did someone want to say something? We've got a lot of background noise going on. So let me just continue on here, folks, if you don't mind. Then we can open up the lines and talk to some people. But let's go back to the pregnant women. So we have the Watchtower now advising pregnant women more than they ever have before to make sure when they get pregnant and are having a child, to make sure they check in with the liaison committee, to have the liaison committee to help find a doctor for them. Now, this to me is, I don't know if I'd want someone butting into my situation if I was a woman and having a child. Do you need the Watchtower really coming in and now telling you who to go to and listen to these liaison committee brothers, and they'll direct you to a good doctor? I mean, this is actually crazy. And they're now actually having a booklet that they have, and it outlines all of the dangers and complications of having children and having pregnancy. Geez, it would scare you to death. Is the Jehovah's Witness really trying to stop people from having children? I have no idea, but they're really suggesting that, go through the liaison committee to get a doctor that will be suitable for you. Now, I'm just saying this is kind of insulting. I think that the majority of pregnant women know about the possibilities of complications. The Watchtower is going to step in here now and tell them that there's going to be complications. You're now pregnant, and they're now saying that they want them really to be aware of the subject and how dangerous it is to be pregnant. For God's sakes, I mean, women have been having babies for years, but the Watchtower is going to poke their nose into it and tell them that they have to really should get involved with the liaison committee. And of course, what they're concerned with is blood, and that is, I'll tell you what, isn't that disgusting? The liaison committee is involved in everything concerning the pregnancy. They want you to find the doctor. Now, this would be very much, this is how I liken it to. The JW cult is equivalent to having the Three Stooges plumb your new home. So by a pregnant woman, sister, having the liaison committee choose a doctor for her would be equivalent to having the Three Stooges plumb your new home. It's not, it won't be right. It will not be right. It's really fascinating to me that they're ramping up the restrictions on this, and they're really encouraging pregnant women to step forward and get involved with the liaison committee. And don't go get a doctor on your own. We'll find a doctor for you. But, I'll tell you another thing, too. In chapter 11, paragraph 3, the elders, they're actually instructing the pregnant sisters on how to have sex. There's a booklet that they actually have. Now, this is very, very disturbing to me. There's a booklet that the Watchtower has that the pregnant women can get. Yeah, and we've got. Hold on one second. We've got someone on. Hold on. You gotta shut off YouTube. You gotta shut off YouTube, King of Dots. We can't have that on the background. It creates problems here. So now we have pregnant women being controlled to the point by this organization. They actually have a booklet on, pregnancy, and even suggesting to the pregnant women how they should have sex while they're pregnant. I mean, these guys want to be in every avenue of your life. Yeah, does that disturb you? Of course it does. It disturbs me. Geez, why can't they just leave people alone and let people live? But they don't do it. Now, also in chapter 12 of the New Flock book, section 18, it talks about drunkenness. Yeah, it talks about drunkenness. And it says that, if an elder or anyone gets drunk, it's not a big issue unless there's notoriety, unless people have seen you get drunk. But if you just get drunk on your own and nobody knows about it, don't worry about it. Basically, it's what the book's saying. But I'm thinking of a Tony Morris. That's what I'm thinking about. And I'm thinking that, maybe this new thought on drunkenness is in view of him. I found that very, very fascinating that they even brought this up. But what they were saying, that there's an ongoing practice and people see this one drinking, then there really should be a judicial committee hearing. Isn't that something when you stop and think about it? Boy, I'll tell you what, it's unreal. Who'd like to come in? Who'd like to say something? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
Is there anything in that new elders book that you can't find in any other literature?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things in there. I mean, this is a secret book that only goes to.
You can't find it in any other literature.
No, you can't. This is specifically for the elders. Yeah, and it's disgusting. It's very disgusting, and I really find that what they're saying there. I wish the government would look into some of this stuff. So on drunkenness, let's just take drunkenness. They talk about drunkenness in chapter 12, article 18. A judicial committee is required when there is a practice of drunkenness or a single incident of drunkenness that brings notoriety. So they're using the word practice. So, if a brother gets drunk once, a couple of times, nobody notices him, no big deal. It's no big deal. You don't have to bring it before a committee. But if a brother gets drunk in front of other witnesses with his notoriety and others see him, then, we got to make a big deal out of this. So that is something. I'm thinking they're bringing this out because of Tony Morris. So I think this is what happened with Tony. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going on what I think. But I'm thinking this might have happened to Tony Morris. Maybe he got drunk. I mean, we know he liked that scotch. Maybe he got drunk and people seen him get drunk. So, of course, it opened up Pandora's box. Go ahead, caller.
What I was wondering is if you went into a committee meeting and they have that book, and could they give you some rule that you didn't know existed because it wasn't in any other literature or something different than what you were taught to believe?
Well, I mean, as Jehovah's Witnesses, I think most Jehovah's Witnesses, caller, I think that they know it's right to do and wrong to do. I mean, as a Jehovah's Witness, so you were a former Jehovah's Witness. I mean, you were I'm sorry, you were a Jehovah's Witness.
I was in a lot of committee meetings too.
Yeah. So, I mean, you knew.
They didn't have anything in that book that wasn't in the other literature.
Well, I mean, you just knew. But there's some things in there that are kind of new in this particular book that I found very fascinating. But you just knew. If you were Jehovah's Witness, you knew what to do. You knew what not to do. But this is a more specific. This is like a law book versus a novel, for example. I mean, it's right it really nails it what you can do and what you can't do. That's what the Elders book's all about. If you'd like to have a copy, if anyone would like to have a copy of the new Elders book, you can email me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll send you a copy. I'll send you PDF copy.
That was the next thing I was going to ask is if I could get one somehow.
Oh yeah, right.
It's going to be posted.
Oh yeah, well, write me at JW World News. I already downloaded, so they're not going to take it away from me. So I already have it. So if you would like to have a copy of that new Elders book, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll send you a copy. I'd love to send you a copy. And you can specifically, what I want you to look at is chapter 12. That is disgusting. That's talking about all the different things you can be disfellowship for. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All righty. Chewy, go ahead. Yep. Chewy first.
Well, I was looking at that thing, kind of perusing it, and it's still in there. Their point of view on child pornography. It's still not considered it's kind of up to the elders whether or not they consider it a judicial meeting or not. So I'm sure the district attorney and the governor of Pennsylvania really like the new book because they put it back in there. Thanks.
Oh yeah, you're right, Chewy. They didn't. That's still the same. If you're a Jehovah's Witness man and you're viewing pornography, don't worry about it. You might get a slap on the hand, but it's very unlikely you'll be disfellowship. Okay, Debbie, I think we got Debbie on. Go ahead, Debbie.
Yeah, one of the older books, Elders Handbooks, was talking about like if a man had sex with an animal, committed bestiality or homosexuality, that would not be considered grounds for divorce as adultery. It would only be grounds for adultery if he committed committed adultery with another woman. Is that still in there?
From what I can see is it's still not. It's still the way it was before. I'm not totally sure on that, but I believe it was.
That's true. That's not been it's not been that way since the mid '80s. Committing fornication, committing bestiality, or having sex with someone who's your same sex, that all counts as fornication, and a person can get a divorce.
In the 2020 Elders book, I have the copy.
Can you read what it says?
I'd have to get it up. It's in a PDF file on my phone. I'd have to come back.
Well, then I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stick to it until you prove otherwise.
Well, you saying take my word over yours.
Bestiality and homosexuality, having fornication, committing fornication, those are grounds for disfellowshipping. You can have a scriptural divorce. It would be considered a scriptural divorce. Yes.
This is true.
And also, the older book said that if a man went to the elders about something like that, that his wife wouldn't be necessarily allowed in the committee meeting. But if a woman went to talk to the brothers, her husband would be allowed to go into the committee meeting. And I mean, it's just showing how patriarchal the organization is and their low opinion of women. But the last Elders Handbook I saw, honestly, Zach, it was in there about
what color
What
color was it, Debbie?
I don't know. It was the one in the year 2000. I don't remember the color of it. But I got a copy from Rick of it.
Debbie, was it your father's book? Was it your father's book? Or are you talking about that one?
No, well, it was in that one, and then the last one before this one, I got the PDF file from Rick, and it was still in there. Yes.
I had the one that I think in 1984 it was first introduced as separate booklets, and then it was bound together as one around 1989, 1990. It was green, and it's the one that was replaced in 2010. Homosexuality: if a man had sex with another man, his wife had grounds for divorce. It was a scriptural divorce. If a person's husband or wife had sex with a beast, which is called bestiality, that person had grounds for scriptural divorce. It would be considered a scriptural divorce. Yes.
Well,
that's going about the last one that Rick asked still. But I mean, it never should. It should have always been grounds for a scriptural divorce. There's no.
I agree, Debbie. I agree with you that it should have always been grounds, but it was just now presented by you that it was not grounds even now. But I agree with you, it should have always been grounds, and it has been grounds at least since around 1984.
I'm talking about the last
Oh,
PDF file I got from Rick.
Okay.
It's still in there.
All right, let Chewy talk. Let Chewy come in. Go ahead, Chewy.
Yeah, I think there. If you go back, and even Kim and Mikey, they did a video on this. Goes back to when Ray France wrote a bunch of articles, the bedroom laws, and this and that, and then he changed it, and then he went back, and that's all found in the Watchtower. Now, one time in the Watchtower, I think that's where that's coming from. It's from out because it was actually in print, and that's the reason why he kind of felt bad, because they caused the breakup of some marriages. So I know it was in the Watchtower, but it's not. They changed it back to where it is actually a disfellowshipping offense.
Yeah.
But it is in the Watchtower.
It has been, and it has been for the whole time I was an elder, which is around 1989, 1990. It was a disfellowshipping offense. And I remember working on the book when I was at Bethel, and that's the same book that I had. And it was a disfellowship, that same book. So that's why I'm saying from around the mid 80s, it was at least then a disfellowship, not a disfellowshipping offense. That's not what we're discussing. It was grounds for a scriptural divorce.
Yeah, in fact, Zach, you're right. You're right. I have to agree with you. I don't usually agree with you, but I have to give you gold star on this. Even I just was skimming through the new Elders book, the 2023 edition, and it talks about sexual immorality. Of course, it refers to it as porneia, as we all know. But let me just read this. I'm reading it verbatim right from the new Elders book. Porneia involves immoral use of the genitals, whether in a natural or in a perverted way with lewd intent. There must have been another party to the immorality, a human of either sex or beast. It includes adultery, bestiality, homosexuality, and prostitution. It also includes oral sex and anal sex and manipulation of the genitals between individuals not married. I know this is kind of graphic stuff, folks. I hope your ears aren't.
No, that's okay.
Okay, I hope your ears aren't turning red. But it also includes oral sex, anal sex, and manipulation of the genitals between individuals not married to each other. It is not a casual. It's not a casual. It's not a casual touching of the sex organs, but involves the manipulation of the genitals. Porneia does not require skin-to-skin contact, copulation, or penetration, or sexual climax. Willing participation incurs guilt and requires judicial action. So it's there. Yeah. So it's
and Rick, those words, the words that you just read, sound like the same exact words that were in the book, the green one, that came out around the mid to late 80s, and then in the around 1990 it was hardbound, and that was the one replaced in around 2010.
I'm not sure the year, but
yeah, those words are exactly the same words. They have not changed.
Right, but now you do recognize that at one time, bestiality and homosexuality were not grounds for divorce. You do recognize that, Zach.
Rick, I just said that earlier. I said when the mid-'80s came, I know that there was a time when they were not considered grounds for scriptural divorce. I know that, and I said that already. Mid-'80s, that changed. Now, someone mentioned Ray Franz, and I forget the point they were making about Ray Franz. Okay, so I'm going to skip over. But Rick, also, I'd like to ask about that proof. I would like to comment on that proof, that letter of proof that you mentioned. What were you saying about that?
I was saying that, okay, so let's just go with, you have a sister, Jehovah's Witness woman. She has an unbelieving mate. She suspects the mate is having, illicit relationship with another woman. Now, he's an unbelieving mate. So the Watchtower says, well, write us a letter and tell us why you think this is the case. Now, she could make a story up, right? But so.
No, just say what they say, Rick. You're adding to it now.
Okay. So they say, write a letter. And so if you write a letter, it's called a letter of proof. And then the elders look at that and they listen to what's being said in the letter, and they make a judgment on that, and they will go along with the person who's writing the letter. They will accept that as proof, even though it's not. Now, what they're instructed to do, if that couple gets divorced because of that letter, they're instructed to take that letter and tear it up and get rid of it anyways. Just get rid of it. Don't have it anywhere. Yeah. So what they do? Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I comment on that idea of having a letter of proof? I was an elder, and for many years, I guess, from youth to middle age, and I was presiding overseer for about a decade, and I remember when you were reading that information, I saw a sister in my mind who she came to the elders and she said that her husband who was not a believer was committing adultery, and she was having such a difficult time proving it. And so and she was changing congregations, but the situation was that if her husband's committing adultery, right? He's committing adultery and she can't prove it, then if she gets a divorce, which a person can do, but the problem is then she can't remarry, because the witnesses apply that scripture that says that if a person divorces except on grounds of fornication and marries another, then they've committed adultery. So that sister, if she couldn't prove it, the way the organization would handle it, if she couldn't prove that he was, if there wasn't another witness or he didn't confess it or come forward, then she would be in a situation where she might get a divorce, which, okay, no one can stop her from doing that. But then she can't remarry, because if she remarried, it would be considered an adulterous marriage. So this seems to be a provision for a person whose spouse is not one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And so they don't come, they can't bring them or force them to come and talk. A person whose spouse is not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, that person, if they're pretty sure about it, they know that their spouse is committing adultery, it gives them some recourse whereby they can be divorced and then remarry, and the marriage would not be considered an adulterous marriage. I'm just thinking that's what they're doing there.
Well, you're very close. You're a sharp guy, Zachary. You're very, very close. But if you want to read between the lines, well, let's face it, Zach. We know that the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses, do not like worldly people. We know that. So they're going to lean in favor of the sister who is writing this letter of proof. And even if the Watchtower or the elders say, well, I think she's fabricating it, they know darn well once that woman gets divorced from her unbelieving mate, they know the unbelieving mate, because he's worldly, he's going to go out and commit an act of sexuality, immorality. So that's the new position they're in. They're just taking, well, she said it, we're going to go along with it, and we're going to let her be free to marry. So that's the new position on this. Chapter 12, Elders Book. Yep.
Were you saying they would just go along with her? I didn't see where elders just went along. Sometimes they can be pretty tough. We hear the stories here. So what makes you think that all of a sudden they're just going to go right along like that?
Well, there's a lot of things that make me think that. This is a changing organization. That this is a dangerous, destructive cult. They're going to lean always in favor of the witness. They're not going to cut a worldly person any slack at all. So if the woman comes forward who's a witness and says, hey, my husband's doing this, or it could be vice versa. It could be a husband coming forward saying, my wife's doing this. But if they're going to go with what the witness is saying, and their whole goal is to get that person away from the unbelieving mate. Did you know that, Zachary?
Again, what I said earlier, I still remember that sister who said that her husband was committing adultery and she was trying to get a divorce. She wanted to get a divorce from him. She was changing congregations. I still remember her face and how bad I felt for her. But under the rules that existed then, there was nothing that could be done. It happened too many times where a person's mate was committing adultery and that person could not divorce and then remarry. I've seen it too much. So when you say your answer is that, they're a changing organization, I can't just go along with that. I do think that that idea of letter of proof sounds like some kind of recourse for a person who's in that difficult situation that I saw that sister. And I still remember her face. When you were reading it, I saw her glasses, everything.
Well, let's stop and let's stop and just think about this for a second. And you hold on, Carol. We'll bring it right back in. But just stop But just stop and think, Zachary, for 1 second, okay? How do you get a letter of proof? What would a letter of proof be? How would you define it? So the letter of
it probably would be a detailed description of why she feels the way she feels. And the letter of proof, like I said to you, a person can get a divorce. The elders can't stop you from getting a divorce. What they can do, or what the organization would do, is if that person gets a divorce and it's not on grounds of fornication or adultery, they can't remarry. And if they do remarry, it would be considered an adulterous marriage. That's all. The elders can't stop the divorce from happening, but they can say, we haven't had proof. We haven't heard from two witnesses, or they can say that the person didn't confess anything. They can say all that. And then the marriage would be considered an adulterous marriage.
Well, it seems like it seems like Zach.
This is stuff I've lived seeing people go through this, so it's difficult to convince me in 5 minutes.
Well, now let's just hold on 1 second. Let me hold on, Jack. Now don't go anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Don't go anywhere.
Yes.
Well, what year were you an elder? What year were you an elder?
I was an elder for about 2 decades.
Well, give me the year. I don't care about the decades. Give me the year.
in the 90s and the 2000s.
All right. Well, we're talking 2023. Do you think things could change? And what's changing here now is the Watchtower is very loyal, that they want to have loyal witnesses disconnect from unbelieving mates. That's how evil it's getting, Zachary. They want it.
But Rick, I just know based on experience and based on organizational procedures and protocols, I just explained to you what they're trying to do. But you're saying, I don't know, you're just saying, oh, they go against these people. They go against, you didn't say worldly, but I can't think of the right word. They go against the worldly person. No, I think that what this is, what you're seeing, is that this has happened so much that there are lots of witnesses, lots of people who have been in a situation where their mate may have left them and they have no proof. They can't prove it, and so they can't remarry if they divorce. That's the reality of it. That's the stuff I saw for that, and not only as an elder, but even as a ministerial servant. I was a ministerial servant in Max Larson's congregation.
All right.
I'm not an I had experiences.
Well, I understand.
How could you in good conscience remain an elder knowing that there's really no way to prove 100% unless you're right there in the bed with them?
Debbie, what are you talking about, Debbie? How could I in good conscience? Don't come and question me like that, Debbie. You're talking to me. Don't play those games with me.
When I found the handbook,
don't say to me how in good Debbie, you try to shame people online. You say to me, how can you in good conscience serve as an elder? What was your question?
No,
come on, Debbie.
On a committee matter, if you know, well, okay, when in 2000, when my dad died, September 17th in 2000, I went to his briefcase to get his Bible. And that's where I found that elder's handbook that said that. And I thought, how on earth could my father have stayed an elder knowing that the Watchtower Society at the time of that he had his elder's handbook, how could it condone something so disgusting?
Condone what?
And can I finish, please? Not only that, but one of our neighbors.
No, Debbie, no, I'm not going to listen while you go on. You just said, how can the book condone bestiality? Didn't you just hear what Rick said? Rick said that what I said about it was right. It does not condone bestiality.
Okay, I'm just saying.
It does no, Debbie. It does not. Debbie. It does not condone bestiality. It was a disfellowshipping offense. And also, a person whose mate committed bestiality, that person was free to get a scriptural divorce, and they could remarry. What do you mean, Debbie? How can I, in good conscience? It does not condone bestiality. Debbie, get your facts together.
You didn't hear the whole thing that I said, Zachary.
Yeah, but you said it condones bestiality. Zachary. That's enough.
No, that's not what I was about to say.
I'm going to attack every untruth that you make, Debbie. So be prepared. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, then you be prepared for me too, because I'm going to attack right back.
I am prepared. Debbie, I am prepared. I am prepared, Debbie.
Okay. We had a 14-year-old girl in our congregation, and there was an older married brother who was a pioneer, and he had a crush on her, and she had even come to me, and I told her to tell the brothers about him talking her into having sex with him. So she went and talked to the elders. And
Debbie, I like you. No, Debbie, I like you a lot, but you're going into some other detail that has nothing to do with the book. I'm going to mute myself. I'm not going to be pulled into this, okay? I'm going to let them get back to world news.
Okay, I'm muting
No,
myself.
I was just going to say, according to the book, if a mate or a woman or a man accused another person of having sex with them and they would not admit to it, the person that made the accusation was being a liar, and
All
they
right.
were disfellowshipped.
Okay, Debbie, that we'll end it. We'll end it there. I appreciate both of your comments, but we'll end it right there. Go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead. Somebody's listen. You gotta shut your YouTube off in the back. When you come on, you gotta shut your YouTube off. Go ahead. You're on. Who is this? Hold on one second. Hold on one second. We're gonna go by. We got so many people calling in here at once. Let's just go by. Let's bring on 910. Let's bring on 910, area code 910. Okay.
Hi, Rick. It's Sharon in North Carolina.
Yeah, Sharon.
I was listening to the words that you were saying that they were bringing up about what pornea is and how it applies to married couples. Isn't it interesting that those same acts, physical, manipulations, are used to children, but that is not a crime according to them. It's not a sin. It has to be protected. So I just don't understand how anybody can use those words as rules. I think you said it was in chapter 12 for married couples, but cast the kid aside like they have no right whatsoever. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, a darn good point, Sharon. Thank you. I thought of that myself. Thank you very much. Go ahead. We have 347, area code 347. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Hello. Just for the record.
Yes.
January 1st, 1972, questions from readers, Watchtower. January 1st, 1972, questions from readers stated that bestiality and homosexuality is not a basis for divorce. However, that same year, December 15, 1972, questions from readers, they changed their mind, and now it became a basis for divorce. So that was in the year 1972. Anybody could confirm it. Just to put that situation to close it.
Okay, brother. Well, thank you. But they have changed it since. But they did back then. They did not accept it as a basis for divorce. But it looks like they're at least considering it now. It looks like they're at least considering.
They did change it in December. They changed it that same year, December 15, 1972. They changed it, and they said, yes, now it's a basis for divorce. So in the same year, January 1, they said, no, it's not. And then in December 15, that same year, 1972, now it is a basis for divorce. Questions from readers.
Well, thank you, brother, for sharing. Thank you for sharing that with us, brother. Thank you very much. Okay, 513, that's you, King of Dutch.
I just want to confirm what the brother said previously. I'm going to call him brother. I don't know why. I mean, it might be forceful habit. But he was correct. That is what they've changed it to. And I want to tell you about the word pornea. A couple of witnesses who were elders and servants told me they researched it, and it literally means writings about prostitutes. And of course, it's been extrapolated to use of prostitutes, like temple prostitutes, all this rigmarole. I'm not going to go any farther with it. That's all I really know. So Watchtower is just using another word to take it to the extreme maximum. Thank you, Rick.
Well, no, you're right with that. Okay, now we get 203. I believe that's Carrie. Go ahead, Carrie.
Hi, Rick. Listen, I just want to tell you, way back, I think a lot of things have changed because in the early 60s, I was married to a baptized inactive witness. And I went to the elders. I wasn't baptized, and I had been, for a long, long time after I was finally baptized, but I was an active person. And I had told the elders that my husband was an adult, was committing adultery over and over again. And they said, and I told them I wanted a divorce, and they said, no proof, no nothing. They said, you can go get your divorce. We will accept it as a scriptural divorce. You can get it under anything you want. And I got it under I can't remember but anyways, it was, when two people just not getting along. I can't remember the word now. But anyways, that was as simple as that. And I was free. And I could remarry if I wanted to. So it's funny how maybe it's the congregation. I don't know. But, I got my scriptural divorce. And I was free.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, that they kind of helped you out with that, right?
Oh, they sure did. They sure did. But, it's funny how things change from congregation to congregation or whatever. They always said that we were united, excuse me, all over the world. We thought the same, we did the same, all of that. But that's not true from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well,
I presented no paperwork, no pictures, no nothing. Told them that my husband was an adulterer and that I wanted to be divorced from him, and that was okay. So I got my scriptural divorce, and I was free.
So you didn't have to give them any proof. You just told them, right?
Nope. That's right.
All right. Well, that's
right.
So they're now accepting that as well today. So that's the way it goes. They don't really, if you have an unbelieving mate, the Watchtower doesn't have feeling for them. They're worldly. So they're going to go along with you. So there's an example right there. Even though it was years ago, the same practice is in place today. Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, who's on with us? We have area code 626. You want to speak up? Go ahead, 626.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment real quick on a couple of points raised about the new elders manual. That they're going so far as to instruct couples how to have sex when the woman is pregnant. I wish I could say I'm surprised that they're being this intrusive, but I'm not, because I had a judicial committee like that not long before I left, where they asked the most ridiculous and intrusive questions that were just none of their business. Like, what positions did you take? Did you go down on each other? Did you finish inside her? These questions got so intrusive. I actually got offended and accused them of I asked them, okay, are your wives just not giving you any because it sounds like you're looking for spank material? And the second thing I want to point out, how they still don't require elders to call the authorities when it comes to child abuse, even if he confesses. Forget the two-witness rule. But the fact is, when it comes to other sexual sins, they don't require two witnesses. And I don't get why they are so insistent on this one particular sexual transgression that you need two witnesses, but they don't apply that to any of the other sexual sins. It makes me wonder if the powers that be in the JW organization are themselves pedophiles, or they have a bunch of close friends who are, because that's the only rationale I can think of as to why they are so stubborn on this two-witness rule when it comes to child abuse.
Well, yeah, sometimes you think about it. Geez, they're strict in some areas and not so strict in others, but they have no right getting involved in a person's intimate relationship. And here they actually have a regular brochure, a folder that is being given to pregnant Jehovah's Witness women that on how to behave. You want to be very careful when you're pregnant, and you want to be understanding that you should have the right doctor, and even giving you guidance on how to have sex when you're pregnant. That's none of their business. You're right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hey, Rick, do you think they're intruding on pregnant women about doctors and things because they might be starting to be in favor of abortion if the child is not developing right? or if there's a particular doctor that wouldn't take proper care of a woman?
Well, no, that's I'm not going to go that far. I'm really not go that far because I mean that's a stretch. But I wouldn't I wouldn't get into that arena at all. I don't think this has anything to do with abortion. Yeah. Well, thank you, Debbie. Thank you very much for coming in here tonight. My goodness gracious, lots of people calling into the 6 screens
I have a
tonight.
thought on that point.
Yes, go ahead, Christine.
I wonder. Hi, Ray.
Hi.
My thought on the doctor thing is, we know that there are doctors that will get a court order. Let's say the mother, is hemorrhaging, and maybe, but they wouldn't off. What am I trying to say? So they would want to suggest a doctor that would support letting her bleed to death. In other words, they would not go get a court order to save her. No, it's just a thought. I'm not sure how it all works, but I would think they would recommend doctors that the liaison group would know that wouldn't go up against the blood issue. Anyway, I'm not sure. Just a thought. Okay.
Well, Christine, we all can have thoughts, but I do know this is not your grandfather's organization any longer. Things are changing, and we're seeing it change right before us. So it's amazing, and they are becoming more and more cultish all the time. Go ahead. I believe we have Linda James of Pasta Babe. Go ahead, Linda.
Hi. When I heard you talking about the elders getting together with pregnant women before their birth, I heard the term, so that they could choose a competent doctor. The key word competent really stuck out to me. And what I believe that would be is a doctor that has access to bloodless medicine. There have been situations where, the guys show up, they're telling the doctors, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. And they have the right to do so because the members have signed a power of attorney over to them. So they're acting on behalf of this person that's having a blood issue. I've heard of cases and read cases where by the time the mother is bleeding, she's too weak to be transferred to a hospital that does have bloodless medicine. So I see this as much as I can't stand this doctrine, I see this as almost a smart preventative method to make sure that they don't find themselves in a situation where they won't have access to bloodless medicine. So to choose a doctor that uses bloodless medicine, to be in a hospital that has access to bloodless medicine, that's my theory.
Well, bingo, Linda. I believe that's true. I think you nailed it. That's exactly what's going on here. And why should they intrude or get involved in every aspect of your life? And enough is enough with the Watchtower. Seriously. But people just suck it right up and go along with it all. But I think pregnant women, first of all, I think they know how it is to be pregnant and what has to be done. I don't think they need the Watchtower to butt their noses into all of it. Jeez, I'll tell you, they want to control you from the cradle to the grave. So, Apostle Beige, you're coming on tonight about 11:30 tonight. So, looking forward to your program. Thank you. That's Linda James. She'll be on tonight with that's your favorite apostate right there. She's got a program. She burns the midnight oil here every Saturday night. She'll be coming in tonight around 11:30. So why don't you listen to Linda tonight? I think you'll really enjoy her program. All right. So let's see what else is going on. We got another caller coming in. Go ahead, 480. What's on your mind?
Oh, I wanted to ask. They used to give a really graphic talk about sex on Sundays, an hour talk. Do they still give that? I mean, they went through all kinds of things that are, oral sex, anal sex, all kinds of. They were really graphic about it, and it was an hour's talk on Sundays. Do they still give that?
I don't know. I haven't been to the Kingdom Hall, but I don't know if they do or not. I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's so, I don't know what you.
You know what it reminds me of is when the Israelites didn't they have like 600 laws? You know, the old law covenant, 600 laws, and then when Jesus came, he simplified it down to a few. You know, love or whatever. It just seems like they have so many little technicalities that are way intrusive. You know, they just shouldn't be involved in that aspect of your life. And that messes up a lot of families, and it always has for a lot of years, you know, not being able to get divorced. I got stuck in a marriage where I couldn't get divorced, and she wouldn't admit it. You know?
Well, no doubt. I mean, what's happening here is it's totally unfair what the Watchtower is doing. Not only in years past, but what they're doing right now. It's not fair to people, and it'd be great if the Watchtower could have government involved in their decisions. But I mean, because they have the freedom of religion, they can do whatever they want. But countries are coming down on them. Enough is enough is enough. We've got. I'm just checking in here. If you guys are listening into the program tonight, we got Gilbert Gonzalez, we've got Dan and Angela Clark, and Jimmy Bell. Go ahead and get on to the stream right now. I do not see anybody on the new stream. We got a program coming up at 9:30, so hop on there now and let me know you're on there so we can see you. I sent you all a link. There's Gilbert just waiting for the others to come in. Both have got a link, so hang in there, Gilbert, and very shortly we'll be back with you for our program coming up at 9:30. You don't want to miss it. The New System. It's a special program tonight. Gilbert Gonzalez, Dan and Angela Clark, and Jimmy Bell. They'll be coming on tonight at 9:30. So just hang in here with us. Okay, let's see what else is going on. We still have a lot of people coming into the 6 screens tonight. We didn't get to all of our news. We really didn't. And that's what's happening lately. I had so many news stories to talk about, but we have so many people that want to keep coming in and talking, and we love that too. We really do. But, you know, we're going to do it again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We do JW World News Sunday. So why don't you try to join us tomorrow at 3 p.m.? But, you know, Sunday we have some very interesting programs here on the 6 screens. Now, Sunday we take on a different way of doing business. We talk about theological issues. We talk about the scriptures. We don't do it here on Saturday night. But if you're one that has disconnected from the Watchtower and you're really thinking, gee, I'd like to really know more about Sunday and about Christianity, and why don't you come into the 6 screens on Sunday and you'll learn about it. We have a great program tomorrow. Well, beginning at 1 o'clock, it's the Knowing God program. We have 2 Christian apologists, Scott Walton, Jody Bishop out of North Carolina. They'll be coming on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And don't avoid listening to this. I think you can learn a lot because many people still want to believe in God when they leave the Watchtower. And then at 2 o'clock, Anne Marie, she'll be back with us. She has a program called Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses Share Their Christian Testimony. So she'll be on tomorrow at 2 o'clock with a ex-Jehovah's Witness named Kurt. And he'll be on tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock explaining how he left the Watchtower and became a real Christian. And then we do JW World News. Well, that's the news that the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we're talking about it on Sunday at 3 o'clock. And then also at 4 o'clock, we have a program called The Christian Court. You know, many Christians differ in their ways of dealing with Scripture. There are peculiarities that many Christians have, and we discuss that tomorrow right here on the Christian Court at 4 o'clock. Join us for that, please. You'll love the program. And then at 5 o'clock, if you have Bible questions, we have a man named Jay Hess. He's a former writer. He was associated with the Watchtower Writing Department. He has a program at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. If you have a question, a Bible question, by all means, tune in tomorrow. You'll enjoy the program. Okay, so I'm just going to check and see if we got our people coming on for our program. Okay, we got Dan and Angela Clark. We have got Gilbert. We're just waiting for Jimmy to come on. But We'll be going back and forth. They'll be coming on with their program tonight. It's called The New System. So, but don't go anywhere. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad. Now listen, I just want to tell you guys this too. You know, people they continue to want to send money here to the Six Screens. We don't accept patrons. We don't monetize on YouTube. This is not a money-making operation. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. I want you to get away from this organization. It could cost me $300 or $400 a month just to do the program. I don't want a penny from you. But if you really would like to help me and help the Six Screens, all you have to do is like the program. Just like it, share it, subscribe to it. That's all I ask. I don't want your money. I got out of the Watchtower. I didn't have to pay anybody so they could teach me. I'm here because we want to help you get out of the Watchtower. So bear that in mind. Like the program, share the program, subscribe to the program. That's what really would be a great help to me and keep me going on. Keep this program going. It's been going on for 17 years. And also, I want to say that if you'd like to join a Facebook group, why don't you join the Six Screens Facebook group? Yeah, my goodness, we have a lot of people coming into that group. Join that. Get on Facebook and join the Six Screens Facebook group. I really love to talk to you guys every Saturday night. I really do, and every other Sunday. It's really the highlight of my life when I stop and think about it. It means a lot. We've been doing this now for 17 years. I've never missed a Saturday night in 17 years. I'm not bragging, but never missed a Saturday night in 17 years. And I only missed one Sunday program because my former wife was having seizures and I had to rush her off to the hospital. But other than that, we are here because you are here. You rely on this program. Many of us do. I get information on this program that helps me too. We've all been scathed by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So I want you to continue on listening. Spread the word that we do this every Saturday night. We do have everybody now coming into the next program coming up. So we're going to end it right here. Friends, I thank you all for coming in tonight to JW World News. And I want you guys to keep standing tall. I don't want you ever to give up, in or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Going to end the program here. Stay with us, though, on this YouTube channel. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Thank you for coming in tonight.